Welcome back, everybody. Super glad to be joined by Coach Martinez of Belmont. They're off to a really hot start, 7-0 this year. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks, Drew. I really appreciate you having me. I've been following you, and you're doing a great job with these podcasts, and you've had a couple coaches that I truly admire on already. So it's always a good listen. So thanks again for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Coach, can you just talk a little bit about the group that you have coming in this year and what your expectations are out of them after what you saw last season?
Yeah. So last season, we started out a little rough, trying to figure out, who we were, what we wanted to do. We were very young, but as the season went on, we got better and better and better, leading into our quarterfinal game with St. Thomas, which was a great atmosphere. I mean, we ended up losing, and obviously we all know St. Thomas won the championship. So for us, it was a great building piece to use going into the off season. And then this year, we kind of just picked up that momentum that we got from that loss and worked really hard in the summer, really hard in the fall, and just came in. And, we just have a mindset this year of not looking ahead, not looking back, just taking one game at a time, never underestimating anybody, and just going out there and trying to be the best we can each night.
Fantastic. So you guys, I think you entered this season as a top 5 favorite in my mind. What's the roster looking like in terms of guys that are new to the roster this year?
So we had a lot of returners, but obviously the biggest addition was our new point guard, Trayshawn Ray, who was with us my first year coaching, and then he moved with his father to Massachusetts, but now he's back in Belmont with his mother. So adding him and his dynamic way of playing has been huge for us. We have solid point guards as it is, but with him now, that position just has a ton of depth right now. And each one of my point guards brings something different to the game, which I think is great because you have Trey with speed, Wyatt Carroll, who's a strong physical guard, and then we have a young sophomore, Jack Binder, who is going to be up and coming, but he's fast, he's tenacious. Great defender. So we kind of have a little bit of everything with those three. So it's been nice.
I think that's one of the keys is you can have speed going up the court. What have you seen so far? Take us through a little bit. I was looking at your schedule earlier. I'm going to check it again. But just talk about playing against some of the top competition in the division.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we're missing out on a few of the guys. I mean, I'd love to have a nice game with Camper over at Kearsarge, and we used to play Mascoma, and this year for some reason they took us off their or I don't know who did, but they're not on our schedule this year. And that's playing against Silas is always great. He has great teams over there every year. And again, we never play Hopkinton. That's another one that I've always kind of not figured out. We saw Raymond over the holiday break at the Christmas tournament. They're definitely going to be a contender. We got Campbell and St. Thomas both this week. They're going to be contenders. The division as a whole, I mean, there's 6 to 7 teams right now that on any given night can beat each other. And I think that's going to be exciting down the stretch.
I would agree with that. I think those are kind of the top teams. St. Thomas, I would say. You guys, obviously, I think are in there. Fun fact, you're the only team who has beaten Campbell this year. They're 5-1, and their only losses to you. They have their starting five's really good. They have that guard who's awesome.
Yep.
Can you discuss a little bit about just how you played them in order to be the only team who's beaten them thus far?
Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, Drew, I mean, they were missing Logan Rice, who is very dynamic for them. He was right on the tail end of his wrist injury. And I think it was like maybe over the weekend or whatever it was, he got that cast off. So he was back for the St. Thomas game. And then their other really good player, Jack Brenton, he started the game, played the first quarter, went into the second quarter, then checked himself out. So I don't know if it was a sickness thing or something. So you have 2 guys right there that are capable of scoring 20 points that didn't play. It was like I told the guys, like it was a good win over a good team, a really well-coached team, but we're going to see the true Campbell tomorrow night at their place because they're going to be fully loaded, and that's going to be a good one.
I agree. That should be a great one. Coach Roy, looks like you're able to join us today. Coach, how you doing?
Yes, good. Thanks, Drew. Coach, nice to see you. How you doing?
Yeah, you too, Coach. I'm doing good.
Good. How How are things? It must feel good to be undefeated right now.
It's a great thing. But as you know from your vast experience, a lot of that does is just get that target bigger and bigger on your back. So one thing I'm trying to teach my guys along with this is with success, comes a lot of teams want to come at you. So we have to prepare for that as well.
Yeah, it's a nice challenge and a nice headache. We talked with Coach Morissette a while back, and he made the comment, I tell my team all the time, you can't win a championship in December. And it's so true. I had a quick question, Drew. I'm not sure what you guys have covered. I apologize. But Coach, we've had several guys on from Division III talking about this year, and the consensus seems to be the guard play this year is fantastic, that everybody has really strong backcourts this year. Your team, though, has something other teams don't have, which is a little size.
Yes.
So I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how you take advantage of that within your scheme and the things that you guys do.
Yeah, so, we try to use our size. Like, one of my things always with my team is to dominate the glass. I've always said two things win games: free throws and rebounding. And if you can be well or do well at both of those, you're going to have a good chance of winning. So our size, what I like, with Anakin Underhill, about 6'7", and then Keegan about just under 6'6". We have some size and length in there that can really control the glass on both ends of the floor. The nice thing with both of those two is they're very athletic kids. So we move them around a lot. They're not just traditional post players. Anakin, I think, is our second best three-point shooter right now. He's shooting about, I think, like 43% right now, three. And so having that and being able to mix it up really can stretch defenses out quite a bit.
Anakin's certainly a really well-rounded athlete. I've gotten to watch him play football, basketball a little bit, and then I played against him in baseball back when I was playing. So he's just an outstanding athlete, in my opinion. Then obviously you have some athleticism and size with the rest of your lineup as well. When you have a team like, I don't know, when you talked about Campbell, you're going to see Campbell again, but just some of the teams you have in the division where they also have a lot of athleticism, how do those matchups typically go? And like having that added size, is that like, do you feel like that's a huge advantage, or what's your opinion on that versus speed? Like a team like Coach Camp with Kearsarge, they have a lot of speed, and that's how they beat taller teams.
Yeah, the thing of it is too, Drew, is I think my bigs are quick. When you get to see him play live, a lot of people make comments about, wow, I didn't realize that, Keegan runs the floor so well. I didn't realize how quick Anakin is. When you see Anakin, he's 6'7", 228 pounds. He's a big dude. And, but he runs the floor like a guard. So I tend to just say, roll the ball out there and be like, hey, you're going to guard these guys, and, stay low, move your feet. And so far, it's been working. So far, with some of the smaller teams and quicker teams, it's been good. And with their length, we've been able to defend shooters really well, closing out and things, because they have such a reach. We're making it difficult for shooters to get their shot off, which is a nice weapon to have. We have Brody Ennis as well, a sophomore that starts for us, who's 6'3". And he's usually playing a point guard against a point guard for me. So with his length, he causes a lot of problems for guards.
Over the summer, was there anything that you guys did a little bit differently, or that you've just learned as a head coach, being a coach for a little bit longer, in terms of preparation to get ready for this season?
Yeah. It's funny. I've been around the game forever playing. I've coached a lot prior to getting a varsity job. This was my first high school job as a head coach. And one of my mentors, one of my good friends, Jason Dara from Pittsfield, he told me probably one of the best pieces of advice that, when I got the job, was don't think your players are going to play and see the game the way you did. And at first I was like, well, I want my players to see that. But then what I've learned each year is to take what you have and build around that. Don't try to mold the kids so much in your image. Take the pieces and kind of put them together and see how it all fits. And that's probably the biggest thing I've learned over these, short 3 years is just to take what I have and just really run with it.
Going to go back to Coach Roy.
Yeah. So, Coach, everybody has a basic philosophy of how the game should be played.
Yep.
And you just mentioned one of the most important things you learn as a coach was dance with the girl you brought. This is what my team does well. This is what we have to do. But if you had to sum up your basic philosophy of how basketball should be played in the simplest terms, how would you put it?
That's a great question. I think the way it needs to be played is when you see the way it's played today, it's a lot of just high pick and roll, come off, shoot threes. I personally would like to see it go back to, I use with my guys, I use the football analogy a lot. Like, you have a running game and a passing game. I love the inside out game. I think today, if more teams would focus on that and use that inside out, to set up the rest of their offense, I think that would really be beneficial to the game, because it still works. When you do it, it works.
Yeah, it does. The shooting percentage on 3-point shooting in college is ridiculous off of offensive rebounds that get kicked out because the guys are wide open and, as everybody's scrambling for the rebound. And I agree. I think post play has gone away in the last, 5 years or whatever. And having that as part of your arsenal can be very valuable, I think. Getting to the foul line, getting people in foul trouble. And like you say, attacking inside out. What about defensively? What do you feel is the key for any team you coach?
I think the key for me is, like, one of my first rules is to stop dribble penetration. I think, if you can control the perimeter, we call it guard in the arc. Like, if you can control that perimeter and not let guys get in to the paint and force them to shoot from outside, I think that's where it all starts and can finish. And then again, it's controlling the glass. So when the shots go up, get the rebound and then kick it and go. I'm a big transition guy. I love teams that run. So we like to get it out and go. And I think that's when we're at our best.
Okay. I did want to check with you because I don't have it in front of me, but did Drew do okay with you with his preseason top 10? Did he have you well placed?
Yeah, I think so. It's funny. For some reason, especially this season, everybody's got a top 10 list. And it was kind of universal, but I look at it like this. This is my third season. My first season, we lost to Conant in the first round. Last year, we lost to St. Thomas in the quarterfinals. On paper, I had a great team coming back in the preseason. Right. But when you look at the teams that are there, the Mascomas, the St. Thomases, the Kearsarges, even Hopkinton, those type of schools, they've been consistently in that quarterfinal, semifinal, final for the last few years. So the preseason stuff, it's like that's where they should be. We should be down a little bit because we haven't proven anything yet.
Haven't done it yet. Yeah. When was the last time, do you know, that Belmont had a deep run?
It's been a while. I mean, I know that they've had a lot of quarterfinal losses over the years, and a lot of 1 point, 2 point overtimes. They hadn't quite just seemed to get over that hump. But I mean, the Division 3 has always been so talented and deep that it's hard. And of course, you had Guilford for 4 years, with their run here and everything, and that was a big team to get by. So yeah, I think it's been a while. I mean, I don't remember them. I don't remember seeing them in a semifinal or anything for many years. So for us if we are fortunate enough to make a deep run, it's going to be something special for the community.
Sure. No.
Coach, I'm looking at your schedule here, and it looks like right in the middle of your schedule, you have 7 out of 8 games on the road, and you've gotten through 2 of those at Berlin and at Somersworth. I know those are long drives for people from Hopkinton, maybe a little bit shorter for you, but still lengthy drives. When you're in that middle stretch of the season and maybe kind of the honeymoon phase or whatever you want to call it, the very part of the season has worn off of just the pure excitement to be back, and it's not quite to almost playoff time where it's like the home stretch push and you're just kind of in the thick of it and you have all these road games, how do you get your team to lock in and stay focused when you have all these bus rides in January in New Hampshire where it's cold and dark?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a coach that like I let my guys have fun. We the guys have proven to me that they can focus when we need to focus. So if they show me that, then I let them enjoy the bus rides and have a good time. And I think that helps. They don't have to sit there, be quiet and all that type of stuff. It helps them. I've learned over the years that each player prepares differently for games. And so my group this year, they like to laugh, joke around. So I let them do that. When we get in the gym, they focus. So I think with anything, it's just taking one game at a time. And I think that's something I've been preaching to these guys at the beginning. So we just look at one game at a time. We don't look ahead. Like right now we're focused on Campbell for tomorrow. We're not looking down the road. I also purposely set us up. We go to the Farmington Bash over the holidays for the Christmas tournament. And I do that because you play 5 games in 5 days if you go to the championship round. And that's a good solid 45-minute bus ride for us. So I kind of do that to prep the guys for the road games and to understand like, hey, we got to get on a bus again. We got to go here again. You got to bring this uniform, do this. So it mentally just prepares them for that. And so when we do go to the Berlins or, we have Conant at the last game of the season, we have to go all the way to Jaffrey. Our guys, it's second nature to them.
It's a great way of preparing. I know those just the road games can be really tough sometimes. So let's talk about your upcoming schedule. Obviously, you've already faced Campbell, and you're going to be at their place. They're going to be healthier, and then you're going to have St. Thomas at home. So your one home game during that 8-game stretch is going to be against the team who was number 1 ranked in pretty much every preseason poll, and then at Interlakes, at Prospect, at White Mountains, at Guilford. So a lot of Lakes region afterwards.
Yep.
I know we talked about Campbell. Let's touch on St. Thomas for a minute. Coach Morissette, they have some of their starters coming back this year. They actually lost to Campbell, but it's still midway through the season, plenty of time left, and I still think they're, in my eyes, still the favorite. What do you think about St. Thomas?
Well, first and foremost, they're the champs in my eyes until somebody wins at the end of February. So they have that mantle. They earn that mantle. So they have one of the most, if not the most dynamic player in the division in McClure. Dave is a terrific coach. So I have no doubt he's going to have something for me come Thursday night that I haven't seen yet. Some adjustment, something. He does it the right way. He gets those guys playing hard. They're going to be scrappy. They're going to be shifty. They're going to play good defense. They're the champs, and when we turn the page and start preparing for them, that's how we're going to prepare. They don't have the size that they had last year, but I think that they're making up for it with their speed and guard play all the way around with Detola, Centenary, guys like that have stepped up into bigger roles, and they're going to be there at the end. I know that for a fact. They're too well coached, and they got too many good players not to be.
I agree. Coach Roy?
As you look at down the road, you have the one game at a time philosophy, which is definitely the way to go. But sometimes you can't help but look ahead at the tournament. Does it seem to you like grabbing the highest possible seed is going to make a difference this year? There seems to be so many good teams that getting that extra home game in the quarterfinals could be the difference between a Final Four bid or going home early.
I agree totally. I think this year, in years past, you can you look at some seedings and be like, okay, that's a good path. Like last year, I thought Kearsarge had a great path at the 3 seed, just how everything sat for them, having the 2 games. And I was like, yep, they're going to be in the semifinals right there. They just had this year. It could be different. I think the top 2 teams getting the first round bye would be big. This year, more so than in previous years. There's some coaches that don't like buys, some coaches do. But I think, like what you said, I think having those 2 home games or that 1 home game is going to be huge this year moving forward with how the division is set up. Absolutely.
Yeah, I always felt, over the years, I would look at my bracket and I would be more concerned with who was there that I was coaching against or who I'd seen who was a bad matchup for my team than I was with the actual seeding. But over time, you learn that extra home game can make such a difference. It's kind of a great lesson to learn. I did want to ask a favor, Coach. When you go to Campbell tomorrow night, I had the pleasure of coaching Justin when he was a freshman in high school. So you need to be nice to him over there, okay?
I love Justin. Justin and I have had a good relationship since I took over the program, and him and I talk and stuff like that. It's funny, we play hard against each other, we coach hard against each other, and but Justin's a great guy. He does a terrific job over there.
Yeah, super guy, and he was one you would love to have on your team right now.
For
super
sure.
High basketball IQ when he played.
Yep.
But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a very exciting tournament. Some of the matchups, there's no way to escape good teams this year.
No, there's going to be. I mean, you have teams like Guilford who, you hear the phrase, "Oh, they're lurking in the weeds," and they're sitting back there. They have size, they have excellent shooting. They have two dynamic freshmen who are going to be phenomenal players for the next few years that are playing good minutes. Everybody, when they ask about them, I'm like, don't count them out. They're going to be there, and Rick's another good coach that has all the experience and has the knowledge of tournament play, and he's going to have those guys ready. You could see 1 through 8 could all be really good contenders this year.
Coach, you talked a little bit about your Christmas tournament and preparation. Obviously, there's really no way to kind of simulate something like experience and having experience that a lot of these programs have over a long period of time, whether it's Coach Camp at Kearsarge, obviously Coach Morris at St. Thomas. There's a lot of coaches who have more experiences than you and your program as a whole, but you have to get experience somewhere. Besides Christmas tournament, like what can you do to really prepare for a playoff-like atmosphere and be ready for those top games once you get to the tournament?
So we, with the team that I have this year, because it's considered a veteran team, and I have guys, like with Keegan and Anakin, they've been starters on varsity for 4 years, so we have a lot of experience. So we do a lot of situational work. I kind of took that from the old Patriots when they were dominating, and you'd always hear about how they would just practice situation after situation. So we have a great audio system in the gym, and I'll blast crowd music and stuff while we're doing plays. I'll do it when we shoot free throws. I'll blast that to try to mimic stuff. Because I truly believe that you can't, like you said, you can't simulate stuff fully, but we try to do the best we can. So when we do see a situation, we're prepared for it in some way. Like with the Christmas tournament, I asked Joel Shagnon over at Farmington when he was putting it together, I said, give me the hardest schedule you got. So we had all Division II teams. We played Sanborn, we played Kennett, we opened up with Raymond, and then we ended up losing to Co Brown in overtime by 2 points. But you got Dave Smith down the sidelines. And, I played against Dave when he was a coach at Co Brown when I was at Pittsfield, and you couldn't ask for a better situational game. Anakin didn't play that game. I had a sophomore out there. So it was really good for our guys to experience that. So that's what we try to do. We just try to find whatever situation. If we can make a situation or do it, that's what we try to do.
As we wrap up here, I know we got about 10 minutes of time left here on Zoom. I want to give you your chance to ask your final questions.
Oh, are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Drew. You got me a little flustered here. Actually, I did want to ask, Tony, you played at Plymouth, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so I shouldn't be talking to you because when you were there, I was with Dave Morissette at Riviere, and we went up there, and you guys were not very nice to us. I'm wondering what playing up there and that experience. I believe you must have played for Coach Scheinman.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. What kind of things did you take from that experience that you've been able to apply to your own coaching?
Oh, well, I think the biggest one is preparation. I I try to prepare the guys and give them an experience like I had in college as a player. So I try to relate things because of me being a player for as long as I was and at the level I was. I know what these guys are going through and everything, both, physically, mentally. So the preparation, I'm very formal. We watch film. I do a lot, write out my practice plans, and I try to keep it very regimented. So they know what's going on and what to expect. And I felt in college that was one of the fun parts of playing college basketball was the preparation. I enjoyed watching film, and things like that. I think it helps make players better. So we do a lot of preparation stuff, with the guys as a team and individually to try to just put them in the best position where they can be successful.
Yeah, film in this era is it's easy to get your hands on now. And, years ago, you had to be sitting in somebody's gym with a clipboard and scouting that way or having somebody do it for you. But, yeah, I think the use of film is really beneficial when rather than you saying something, the kid's actually seeing it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, that's what coach is talking about.
Well, Coach, I didn't travel on that play. Yeah. Come over here. Let me show you this.
Yeah. Here you are taking 4 steps before you bounce the ball. Yeah. Good stuff. I am all set, Drew. I didn't have too much for Coach today.
Okay. Yeah, last thing I wanted to ask Coach Martinez is, Coach Roy already asked you about your kind of offensive and defensive philosophies. Something we're often told is that the team often takes on the personality of their head coach. Let's talk about your personality a little bit as a person and how that translates to your team and their identity.
I was a very tenacious player. I'm trying to be a calmer coach with that. I just expect my guys to work hard. I think that's the biggest thing is, I came from a small town, working hard was just something that you had to do if you wanted to be successful. So I don't want to say I push my guys, but I just encourage them to be high energy when we're in the gym, work hard, sprint the floor, do those little things. And once you get in that mindset, and start doing those little things and that hard work, it really becomes second nature. And I know that's cliche, but you can see it with how my guys are playing. So we play very, very hard. Like we get on the floor. I got guys. We're up 30 in some of these games, and I've got guys diving on the floor because they know that if they don't, they're not going to play. Like that's just how we work things. And the guys are willing to do that. So it's a lot of fun. I can literally say at this point right now, I haven't had a bad practice. Everybody's coming every day and just giving me everything they have. And it's really fun.
Coach, thanks so much. Really enjoyed having you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Love what you're doing again. But yeah, thank you very much.